coming at you for Facebook Friday from Southeast Fertility, kind of NEDC edition here, right? With Kelly and Krista, our NEDC nurses, joining, and I'm behind the camera, which means we'll probably get hundreds of posts because whenever I'm behind the camera, as opposed to in front of the camera, we do a lot better. So again, because of the face I have for radio instead of for videos, but whatever. So anyway, so ladies, just got back from the ASRM meeting. And at the ASRM meeting, I had an interesting discussion with a physician there about embryo adoption. And we were sort of talking about it, and we're talking about keeping embryos together. And she was saying that at their clinic, couples are limited to only adopt one embryo at a time, no ability to reserve embryos for future use. And I said, well, that's not necessarily like a great thing, because in a sense, you are forcibly separating these embryos from their potential siblings. And I think the absolute example of how great this can be to not separate is in this lovely board here that I just found out that Kelly actually hung in her office. So I thought it was Mark who had done that. So man, you guys did such a great job. It's nice and straight, and there's only like one set of holes. Like when I hang stuff, you can't see it, but there's like multiple holes there behind the thing. It's like, oh, a little higher on this side, a little higher on that side. So anyway, and these were the pictures here about the Gibson's girls, right? So basically Molly and Emma, and born after 24 and then 27 years being frozen. So these two little girls frozen as embryos for over 2 decades before being adopted, thawed, transferred, and now together in the Gibson family. And what a great story that is. And it's the antithesis then of taking a group of, say, 6 or 8 embryos and then separating them, right? And then saying, okay, instead of having 6 embryos for one couple to adopt for them to use over the next series of years, no, this year we're going to put each embryo in a separate family over this year's time, and they may never get together with their siblings, right? So what are your thoughts on that? How do you guys look at it? How do you counsel patients?
Even our donors have a desire for there to be a lesser number of recipient couples, I think. They like to have ongoing communication, especially in open adoption, and that they a lot of times our donors have that question: are recipients planning on having future siblings with these embryos, or just limiting it to one child? And they have a desire for them to use as many of their embryos as possible, and that helps with communication.
Right.
With all the families to be able to communicate and have the opportunity to maybe meet later in life.
And within the same family, Krista, I mean, we've got several families, I think, right, who have 3 children from the same group of embryos, but not necessarily, right, as twins or triplets, right, but actually, I think as 3 singletons, right?
Yes, I'm thinking of one family in particular, since I started working here, and that's the case.
Right,
yes.
right, and that's not, I mean, you've been here now because you started after I did, right? Right, so I mean, even just in that short period of time, we've seen that, right? And I know I'm starting to see my first group of patients coming back for sibling transfers, so that's sort of fun too, you know. So I think again, right, to think of that, those three children from one group of embryos, not as multiple pregnancy, but as singleton pregnancies. I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, isn't that to not know your siblings, to not know even if you have siblings. Mm-hmm. And I said to this doctor, I said, they're not puppies, right? I mean, like Susanna, my daughter, she always wants to take Belle, our dog that we rescued from my brother-in-law, back to see her siblings. I'm like, I don't think Belle wants to go see those dogs, honey. I said, I don't think Belle knows those are her siblings. She said, oh, no, I think she does. No, I don't think that she does. So, but as smart as, and Belle's not that smart, but even as smart as you think your dogs are, they are not going to go on the internet. They are not going to go to 23andManagers.com, not going to the donor sibling registry to try to find their siblings, right? But people do, right? I mean, they want to know.
Absolutely.
They want to know. So I don't know. I just, it was an interesting discussion, and I thought this is why I love working with y'all through the NDC, is this type of, that approach, that attitude, because I think that's the right thing. I think it's the right thing to do.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kelly and I were talking to patient donors, and like she said, recipients. It's like, that's our heart to do that. It's so hard because there's so many different ways
Right.
It's hard to predict, will they use them all, but I think that usually in those smaller sets, that is a family's heart and intent to do that, you know?
Yep.
But we do our best on our end, you know, as we can to keep them together, you know, and.
Right, and that's but to not even allow a patient who has that desire to say you literally can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
And the limit in the front end, how many you can even adopt, you don't know what's going to happen with each of those embryos, how
Right.
they're going to fall. So to have the whole set of them available
Right.
for you for a transfer, and then to be able to reserve it to come back
Right.
again for a genetic sibling, is,
Right.
I think we're unique to a lot of
Right.
patients.
And what I do is I often will say to a couple, say, listen, if you guys are really just one and done, and you know you're one and done, then why not look at adopting a series of single embryos that have been donated, right? Where that is the only embryo from that donor that was donated. So that's wonderful, you know, and then it works, you're done. You don't feel somehow beholden to the other embryos that are stored. And everyone's, that's a good outcome for everybody. Right? So it's a win-win, right? You don't, you said it accomplished that. And you do, I mean, what do you think percentage-wise? We do have, a number that are single embryos that have been donated, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
Or we're down to singles.
we're down to singles, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's important too. So, yeah, I think it works both ways, right? For the couples who want, hey, we're 24, he's got male factor, we decide we want to go this route, we want to have a big family. That couple, that's great. Adopting a group of embryos that maybe that's their family, 3 or 4 kids, even, who knows, right? Yeah. Versus the couple who's pushing that envelope, closing in on a 45th, 46th birthday, right? Mm-hmm. And it says, well, I just want the one. I'm just going to do one transfer, right? So, yeah. So, well, I coming back from the meeting, I was like, wow, I just don't know how you convince other people of how I'm seeing it. And I think, like, am I not seeing it right? Am I not thinking about this correctly? But I don't think that's the case. I think this is the right way to think about it.
I think so too.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it was interesting to go to the meeting. I thought about you guys and the great work you do, both in terms of talking with the donors and also for the recipients. And it's just great work. And you all should be very proud of everything you do for those patients. And you do a great job at it too. So anyway, well, that's it for Facebook Friday. Linda will be back next Friday, and Mark will be back next Friday, and I might even show up next Friday. We'll see. I might be in front of the camera, but this will probably get like 3,700 views, and next week I'll get 12. But that's okay. It's supposed to be a nice weekend, and I'll be in the office part-time, but I hope to get outside and do some yard work too. So in any case, ladies, thank you for everything you do. And this is Dr. Gordon signing off for Facebook Friday, and we will see you next week. Bye.